Hey y'all, hey, it's Mrs. Yao back with this week's edition of Scholastic News. This week, our Scholastic News is called Lincoln's Letters. Abe Lincoln was our president more than 150 years ago. He worked hard to be a great fair leader. One way he did it was to write hot letters. What does that mean? All right, go ahead and turn the page. Make sure you're following along closely with me as I read. Never sent and never signed. When President Lincoln got angry, he wrote letters, but he never mailed them. Why not? As you read, think about why Lincoln never sent his hot letters. When Abe Lincoln was president, our country was fighting the Civil War. Northern states and southern states fought each other. Lincoln and other leaders worked together to bring the states back together as one country. It wasn't easy. People got angry and argued. Sometimes Lincoln got angry too. He had his own way to calm down. He wrote letters, hot letters. When Lincoln got angry, he wrote what he called a hot letter. It was a letter to the person he was angry with. When he was done, he didn't put the letter in the mail. He wrote never sent and never signed on it. Then he put the letter away. Writing the letter helped Lincoln cool down. He got his feelings out without yelling at the other person. Throw it away. Lincoln taught other people about hot letters. He worked with a man named Edwin Stanton. One day, Stanton was furious with an army general. He was so angry he wanted to tell the general how he felt. Lincoln suggested that Stanton write a hot letter first. Stanton thought that was a good advice. He took time and wrote out how he felt. When he was done, he still wanted to mail the letter. Lincoln had another idea. Throw the letter away. Stanton was shocked. It took me 2 days to write, he complained. Yes, and it did you ever so much good, Lincoln said. You feel better now. That is all that is necessary. That was all Stanton needed to do to feel better. Stanton agreed. He threw the letter out and he never yelled at the general. Long ago letters. Years after Lincoln was president, people looked through his things. They found letters that said never sent and never signed. Those were his hot letters. They kept him calm during a difficult time in our country's history. Today we remember Lincoln as one of our best presidents. By Blair Rainsford. All right, let's go back to this picture here. We have a illustration, and the caption says, Lincoln wrote letters to help himself calm down. And then down at the bottom, we have a little text box, and it says, writing with a feather. When Abe Lincoln was alive, computers and smartphones hadn't been invented yet. If you wanted to write a letter, you had to do it with a pen. Back then, some people wrote with quill pens. Those are pens made from feathers. One of Lincoln's favorite quill pens was a goose feather. All right, let's turn to the back. More about Abe. Learn more about President Abe Lincoln. Read the chart, then answer the questions. So we're going to start over here on the chart, and it says, he wore a hat called a stovepipe hat. He put papers in it. You can see his hat at a museum in Washington, D.C., and here's a photograph of that hat. In the middle, it says he grew up in a cabin. The walls were made of stacked logs. In Illinois, you can visit a cabin like this one he grew up in. And there's a photograph of a cabin. And then the third picture says, this is a statue of him at the Lincoln Memorial. The statue is made of stone. You can see it in Washington, D.C. So here's a photograph of the Lincoln Memorial, and then here's an inset picture that shows the statue that's inside the Lincoln Memorial building. All right, remember, as I read the questions, you can always pause if I'm going too fast, and you can always rewind or rewatch the video if you need to. Number 1, what is the cabin made of? Cloth, logs, or stone? Number 2, what is Abe's hat called? A cabin hat, a stovepipe hat, or a statue hat? Number 3, what can you find at the Lincoln Memorial? A log cabin, Abe's hat, a statue of Abe. And number 4, which two can you see in Washington, D.C.? The hat and the log cabin and the Lincoln Memorial, or the Lincoln Memorial and the hat. And then make sure you do the think about it, friends. That's part of your bonus. It says, what kind of papers do you think Abe might have put in his hat? And you can just write your answer over here to the side. All right, let's go to your reading quiz. Number 1, what is this article mostly about? So think about the whole entire article. What is it mostly about? A, how much Lincoln loved to write letters. B, who Lincoln argued with. Or C, how Lincoln used letter writing to calm down. Number 2, how did hot letters help with Lincoln when he was angry? A, they helped him get his feelings out. B, they helped him calm down without yelling. Or C, both A and B. And remember, you can always go back into the article and underline your answers to prove them. Number 3, look at the sidebar on page 3. So that's where you're going to look. You're going to look here at the sidebar on page 3. That's what this is talking about, this little text box. What did Lincoln use to write his letters? A computer. B, a goose feather and quill pen. A goose feather quill pen. Or C, a typewriter. Number 4, why did Lincoln call them hot letters? A, he wrote them quickly. B, he burned them when he was done writing them. Or C, people may feel hot when they are angry. And number 5, what is another word for furious? A, grumpy. B, shy. Or C, angry. All right, friends, remember to go back and prove your answers in your article. Make sure that you do all of the questions, including the think about it at the back. And I will see you next week. See you when I see you. Have a great day.